Thank you, Bear. Good to see you guys. What? It's not. Okay, there we go. Thank you. I much appreciate it. Okay, so, excuse me. I've got to get all my stuff set. Message True is here. I am here. I'm here. And I've got my sound on this time. So 10 minutes of just dead air, like I did. I edited my story time live, or bedtime story. So if anybody does want to watch it or listen to it, because it is kind of like snore, like ASMR, but like won't fall asleep before the actual story starts. So I know I'm pretty proud of myself. So I took a bath, I got my jammies on, and I got everybody fed, everybody in bed in my house. So it's a good night. And since now, before we start, I promised that we would go over the hi Jerry, good to see ya. I promised that we would update on the Lynette Hooker stuff, and so I've got that all set up in the playlist. But first, because we were talking about all that stuff earlier about all the Nancy Guthrie and the circus, I saw something when I got out of the shower and I watched it, and I always, that's one thing, is there has been a lot of drama when it comes to some of these cases and some of this stuff, but I always appreciate it when somebody can make something good out of something bad. Now, while I don't appreciate this person's behavior thus far, and I know that I hope that he's doing this as a positive thing, but I actually think that it could turn into a positive thing. And one of the things that a lot of us in true crime do is we don't just follow cases and things like that, but we try to follow, it's not just about the case of the crime, but about missing people that need to be found, that are in danger, things like that. And everyone's favorite businessman tonight put out a video, and I'm not going to play the whole thing because a lot of it is a lot of blah, 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 blah. It means good to see you, Jerry. Oh, you don't want my life insurance policy, Bear. It's not, I'm not one of those adults that has all my ish together. So you don't give me like 10 years and then maybe you got me. Oh, truth. There you go. I was just getting ready to message you. So I thought before we start looking into the updates on Lynette Hooker and Starla Goings, we watched the first couple minutes of this which that's something that I want to do too. I want to look up the link that I want to put up. But if this is true, I'd be willing to. I don't have enough subs to do a fundraiser yet, like through YouTube, and I don't want to ever just collect money on my own and give it to charity, because I've just seen too much gobbledygook that happens with that, and accusations and whatever. But what I would be willing to do is, if they do decide to do this, which I don't know if they will or not, White Boy was challenging Alex to a boxing match, and I got out of the shower and saw that Ted had said, hey, and he says he swears he's doing this friendly, why don't we do some kind of cage match, something for charity? And, he said whoever wins, charity of their choice, yada, yada. Or do it for a spoken charity. But I, for one, would be willing to give up an hour of my life to. Has Ted done it before, or White Boy? Which one? See, I don't really know either of them, and I'm not like. And hi, Canvas. Good to see you, girl. But I thought if they would actually do this, did he follow through? Oh, I'm sure it was retaliation. But I would be willing to take an hour out of my time to stream that for charity. Here, I'm only going to play the first few minutes. But, oh, no worries. No worries. I'm glad you're here. Maybe if enough of us start talking about it, maybe they'll actually do it. Yeah. I just thought it was funny. Here, let me turn off got my smooth jams on. Sorry. I found some actually like decent music to upload from YouTube Studio that I actually liked. So I thought, well, I'll play that. So, like I said, I'm just gonna play the first few minutes of this just because I thought it was kind of funny and exactly true. Like I'm like, ugh. But hey, if we can make money for missing and endangered people, oh, definitely, Canvas, definitely. I'm gonna be mailing some stuff out next week. Just FYI, you know what I'm talking about. You and Truth do so. Oh, no worries. I'm going to be going over the Ashleigh Banfield stuff and some of the Starless stuff. And if we're still hanging and we have time, I will, I know I've got some short, like Alex Murdoch stuff too. No, was he? Oh, really? Hi, just reporting. How you doing? Oh, Canvas, me too. I have been behind on everything too. Just yikes. So I just thought, like I said, this just kind of gave me a giggle, because if it ever did happen, I think I kind of know the outcome. And he was saying stuff like, give me a month to work out. That's never a good sign when making a physical challenge. Just give me 30 days, But I thought, oh my goodness. And he said, like, part of the stream, he's like, I'm 5'9". I thought, oh boy. Oh, but like I said, hey, I don't think it'll ever happen, but I would love to be proven wrong. And like I said, I will take time out of my day. Tell me the time and the place. I'm not monetized, so I won't make any money off of it. So you know that, right? We're safe there. I don't put my Cash Apps up or anything like that. So yeah, I'll just, and at this point, anybody that's going to sub up to me from either of those camps has already done it. So I'm not looking for subs, but I think I'll sit there and I'll just constantly, we'll post the link. And, yeah, exactly. And 11/11. It's got to mean something. Oh my gosh, I'm telling you. Yeah, I will provide the popcorn, okay? So I'm going to play this real quick before we get into the serious stuff, because it's good to have a little giggle. And the thing is that I know that he's serious about the challenge. I don't necessarily know that he's serious about really doing it for charitable reasons, but here we go. And it's sped up, FYI. So
some pretty tough events, right? We're in Chicago right now, and we got White Boy Radio. We got all these guys that are just wasting space. They got no views. Hills Have Eyes. We got hella excellence.
They have quite a bit of views. By the way, just saying, quite a bit of views.
I'm from Australia. I'm un-American. We got the, I don't even want to say the one guy. One guy was so nervous, shaking, taking a selfie with him. And he was sitting there going, We have all these.
I don't think it was him that was shaking. I don't think that it was. Oh, I'm sure that's exactly what I believe it is. Just reporting. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I believe it is too. Yeah, I didn't think Jake was shaking. I do think all that's just got to stop. I mean, it's getting to be too much.
We have all channels that sit on their ass and they want to criticize us. And that's why I want to say right now today, you guys want to criticize us. We got White Boy Radio. Oh, yeah, I'm going to do a charity. Why don't you fight me for a charity, dude? Why don't we do a cage fight, legal cage fight for a charity? See how tough you are.
See how tough you are. Okay, so is it for a charity, Ted, or is it not? I just like, wow, like I said, if you really want to do this, really do it for a charity. But I don't believe that that's what this is about. And it's just kind of silly. And just, the thing is he just saying, you want to talk about it, you want to this. That is the internet. When you put yourself out there and you put yourself public, you have the chance that people are going to talk about you. Every single time I come live, whether I show my face or not, I run the risk of someone saying something about me, good or bad, right? And that's part of the trade between being a subscriber and having a channel where you put your face up there. Now, do I agree with all of the things that they're doing to each other? Absolutely not. I think the doxing and the family pictures and all of this stuff and the license plates and both sides. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's childish. I think it's dangerous, and it has absolutely nothing to do with any of the cases that they're quote unquote following and advocating for. Exactly, Doug. It's so he can make a threat without actually making a threat. Thank you. Exactly. That's, well said. And so, yeah, put your money where your mouth is then. I don't think it's going to end well, no matter how long you have to work out and get in shape. I mean, I don't know. I have this picture in my head. I'm old, but have any of you seen that show, that movie called, was it Mr. Mom? Alex Keaton ends up getting laid off from his job and he becomes the stay-at-home parent, and there's a big relay race at his old boss's house. And so he's jogging, he's got his sweats on, and he's just going, and you can hear the Rocky music going, and that's what I picture, okay? That I will find that clip. We're going to find that clip this weekend because we're all going to laugh about that. But people won't quit watching them. And I don't even think that this is the thing that I learned, is that for as many people as you have that watch you because they absolutely love you, you have double the amount of people most likely watching you because they can't stand you. And that's just the way it is. And you look at every single one of the drama channels, or not the drama channels themselves, but the people that they're talking about. There's some really disgusting people that get reviewed on YouTube. And those people have thousands of views, I mean, it's like watching a car accident. Well, yeah, and that's it, yeah. I mean, I have to say, he was like, that was a little scary, kind of, I mean, wow, kind of had a kind of Godzilla thing, kind of King Kong thing going on. Oh gosh, it'd be like Terrence and Phillip fighting. Stick fingers.
Because all you do is you mock me and you say stuff against me, and all you guys just run your mouths. So why don't
And you do the same to the other side. Fair, turnabout's fair play. I mean, if I start talking junk about somebody on here, can I be all like clutching my pearls because the next day they start talking about me? No. They get what I get, right? Alex Murdaugh has every right to come on here and talk about how he didn't like me. That's how it goes.
why don't we do a charity? And then we got the guy that doxed me. I hope you feel man about yourself, man. You little salami boy, little short salami boy. Why don't we do a charity match too? Why don't we do a 2-for-1 charity match?
Okay, who's Salami Boy? Somebody tell me. Who is Salami Boy? I have no idea who Salami Boy is. It would. Exactly, yeah. Drama within the drama. Oh my gosh, what was it? A couple weeks ago, I clicked on somebody and I saw someone reviewing them that was reviewing them. It was like reviewing of themselves 4 times removed. Like, oh, Dolly.
Because you guys are just like terrible people. We got Hilla Udlins, or whatever you're from. You're from and you're from Australia, but you run your mouth. White boy radio with those Dumbo ears and that freaking jacked up face of yours,
Oh.
And I wasn't gonna say anything, but you guys trying to ruin my life. You guys destroying everything I live for. So I think I definitely will challenge White Boy Radio because he's a racist scumbag.
And I will say, from what I know of White Boy, which is not a lot, but I've never seen him be racist. I've seen him pretty much go after everybody, and it doesn't really matter. Yeah. Like, you got to be careful saying stuff like that about people.
Years, and I wasn't gonna say anything, but you guys trying to ruin my life. You guys destroying everything I live for. So I think I definitely will challenge White Boy Radio because he's a racist scumbag, and we can go down. You want to do a cage?
Yeah, they ruined his life. Yeah, it was them. It was White Boy that dipped his head in the Caesar's Palace fountain. It was Dolly that made him almost get himself trafficked on numerous occasions. Right, stolen off into the night. It was, who else? It was someone else's fault that he was basically ripped for 3 days straight. Right? Yeah. Okay. I mean, come on. But no, I have, like I said, I've seen him. I mean, as far as who he reviews or I've never seen it be because of race or religion or anything like that. I've seen it because whatever they've done, he believes is wrong or needs to be called out or whatever reason he does it for. But I've never, and that's something you got to be careful saying. And that's it. And your buddy has a video of himself with swastikas on his arms, getting to know a Coke bottle biblically. I mean, so come on, brother. Come on.
Match for charity. I want to do legal. I'm not making any death threats, not making any threats. But like the stuff you're saying, you're messaging my family, all this shit. Like, bring it on. Bring it on, man.
You mean like you guys have been doing to other people also, right? And I don't agree with any of that. Okay. I don't agree with channels reporting channels. I don't agree with calling people's bosses. I don't agree with calling people's family. I don't agree with putting children's pictures up, which was removed, thank goodness, but that got done by one of your boys, Ted. It wasn't Ted that did it, that I know of. I don't believe he put it, but and just, it's a back and forth, back and forth. Literally at this point, I feel like nobody really has a leg to stand on anymore at this point, because they've all done equally as crappy stuff to each other. And I don't think any of it has any place on the back of any missing person. The same stuff got done with Sebastian Rogers. It got done with Quentin Simons. It got done with Summer Wells. It got done with who else? With Monkey Vaughn. It got done with Von McRae. It got done with, I mean, I could go, there's lists beyond lists. And exactly.
I'll challenge you to a charity boxing match any day of the week.
Delphi too, yeah.
Okay, so you guys can all bring it. You guys know where I'm at. I'm in the rack right now. So
he just said a charity boxing match.
Man, I'll challenge you to a charity boxing match any day of the week. Okay, so you guys can all bring it. You guys know where I'm at. I'm in the rack right now. So I just want to say all the bad mouth and doxing my kid, my wife, doing all that shit and causing all that trouble for me. You know, that one guy, that salami guy, whatever his name is, Mr. Hacker, Mr. Keyboard Hacker guy that wants to say stuff. Why don't you come to the charity fight?
Okay, so I'm not going to play any more of that because it's just him, you know, running his mouth. But if you want to do it, then do it. Exactly. But that's why he wants to do it. He's not doing it because he actually cares. He's doing it because it's just another stunt. It's just another stunt. Exactly. They've completely forgotten or never cared in the first place of why they're here. And so if you're going to do it, then do it. Then raise money for, in fact, I got Kabelchin. And let me, this www.missingkids.org. I don't know if my link's showing up because I can't remember if vertical shows up or not, but that is an awesome charity to give to if you're looking to help people who actually are missing, children who are missing, children who are endangered, who are in dangerous situations, etc. Their national flower is the forget-me-not, which I think is very sweet. And if you go to their website, you'll see, boom, you will see it is the nation's largest and most influential child protection organization. We lead the fight to protect children, creating vital resources for them and the people who keep them safe. Every child deserves a safe childhood. And you can go on here. You can find out what to do if your child is missing, or I assume maybe you noticed a child is missing in your neighborhood. I go back to Kelly Bryant out of Pontiac, Michigan, who left her children alone with no human contact except for each other for almost 4 years in a townhome, dropping off bread to them. And nobody noticed that these kids were missing for 4 years. Donate. You can donate if you want to help the cause. Another thing that I didn't realize until I did a charity video for this, where I showcased missing children from my general area and my state, but this Take It Down. Having nudes online is scary, but there's hope to getting it taken down. That's happened to people. It's happened. You have boyfriends, ex-friends, etc., that do this. You can have help. Yeah, 4 years, just reporting, 4 years. They were trying to think now. 11, 12, and 14 when they were found. And they were found because her rent got cut off. She was living not far down the road. Didn't even text message them, except he would text message her to tell her when they needed food or if someone came by. Wow. Well, did you hear, here. Also, I'm going to address that in a second, Doug. This is an attorney manual for any legal professionals assisting victims of child SA. Generative AI, this is good for anyone, any parents to watch, because this is something that's becoming part of our culture. No, they had no skills to escape. These kids did not even know how to use the bathtub. They didn't know how to brush their teeth. They didn't know how to take showers. Look on my, I've got a playlist, I think, but on my Crimecast, there's some videos I've got of her. You are going to fall out just reporting. It's horrible. It's horrible. Kelly Marie Bryant out of Pontiac. This happened. It's been a year now since they found them. I think it was on Valentine's Day. In fact, I'll tell you what. I will, before we get into the Ashleigh Banfield stuff, I will I've got a short video of that. But yeah, so this is, let me find that real quick. But this is a great website to go to if you need help, if you know anyone that needs help, if you want to give, make a difference, etc. Okay, let me find Miss Kelly Marie. You're going to freak out. I'm just warning you right now. You're going to be furious. Where are you, Miss Kelly? Oh, and by the way, and this is something she's still here we go. Let's see if this is the right one. If I get heated, just brace yourself, because this one makes me so mad.
Happy Saturday, y'all. This is Cutsy. And please poke me in the like button and hit that subscribe if you haven't yet. We have a little update on our case that we were following of Kelly Bryant out of Pontiac, Michigan, who was found to have abandoned her 3 children in a condo for almost 5 years. No contact, no nothing. So she was in court again yesterday trying to ask for a lower bond. Now, if you remember correctly, her original bond was $250 million cash only, which meant she couldn't be released on her own recognizances or, couldn't put anything up like a house or a car or anything like that for bail. So she's in court today or yesterday asking for that. She's claiming that she had at the time of her arrest and still has a stable residence, that family members have stated that they will vouch for her and supervise her upon her release until she goes back to court, make sure that she appears in court. Prosecution brought up some points that said that the person that she's living with, though, is not one of the people that has vouched for her or sent verification letters in for her, hasn't appeared in court for her. Nobody really knows who this person is. And some questions about the fact that Kelly stated, or at least made it seem, that she was homeless. I believe transient was the term used at the time of her arrest, and that was one of the reasons why she couldn't pay and do the things that she needed to do. Defense says that she didn't have sufficient time to get a letter vouching for her from this person she's supposed to be living with.
Sorry. I believe this one's going to describe the story.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. And as you know, it's True Crime Tuesday around my neck of the woods. So first, a little update.
Now notice, her hair is done. She's got nice clothes on, and you'll see her nails. These nails, and I can vouch for this, are probably like $200 set of nails.
On a story that I started following last week, on February 20th, Kelly Marie Bryant, 34 years old, from Pontiac, Michigan, was arraigned and charged with 3 counts of felony child abuse first degree and given a bond of $250 million cash only after a welfare check was done on a condo she had been renting, and it was found that her 3 children had been left abandoned for almost 5 years, with only her dropping off DoorDashes and loaves of bread to her kids to eat and no contact with them. These children were 15, 13, and 12 when they were found, which means they were 7, 8, and 10 when they were left behind. I've done a little digging. There's not a lot of updates. The most current I could find from the news channels was 2 or 3 days ago, and they're really just going back over all of the things that I went over the other day and have in the playlist on my...
Look at those nails. Look at those nails and that hair. But her kids were eating bread and sleeping on pizza boxes, by the way. They didn't even have a bed to sleep on.
A channel. There are some news reports, and that gives you the pictures of the house, interview with sister-in-laws, etc. But what I did find when I went through the Oakland County court system was that she does have another court date. It is on March 4th. It is a probable cause conference. And the probable cause conference in Michigan is mandatory, and it's supposed to help decide whether or not things can be dealt with then, or if they need to go forward to a probable cause hearing.
Now notice, she's smirking, which has been a common theme with her through her court appearances, is her smiling and laughing, just thinking this is just grand old joke. And now, recently, as of April, things have been halted again because now her lawyer has decided, after asking for continuances and all these allowances, that she believes that Kelly Marie Bryant is not mentally culpable enough to aid in her own defense, is calling for another psychiatric evaluation. One was already done at the beginning of all of this, and she passed with flying colors. So,
which is used to determine if there's enough evidence to charge her.
Exactly. Exactly.
Now, they've put down the original date of her offense as January 1st, 2021. And I'm not sure why that is. I thought from everything that I read, it was 2019, 2020. But maybe that's all that they can prove at this moment. So that's all we have so far. So March 4th at 1:30 will be her probable cause conference, and we should hopefully.
So that's Kelly Marie Bryant and all of her lovely little outfits and her hair and it's just sickening. She absolutely didn't care. She lived right down the block from her own kids and didn't even speak to them. These kids were afraid of people. One of the things that was found when they found the children, when they were questioning them, the sheriff said that the little boy said that he had only been out of the house twice. Excuse me. The first time he went out to get the mail because there was something in the mail that she wanted. So he went out and got the mail once. And the second time was about 2 years before they got found. And that was because he wanted to go outside and touch grass. That was his exact statement. That was his exact statement because he wanted to go out and touch grass. I mean, can you imagine? So that is the lovely Miss Kelly Bryant. And if I hear anything more about her, that's another story that I'm following because I think it's absolutely disgusting. And sadly, a couple months ago, there was another mother from Detroit area in court because she did the same thing and left her children. I mean, how do you do that? How do you leave your kids behind like that? I don't understand how anyone could be so heartless, especially a mother. Oh, exactly. But and that's just it. I mean, to me, exactly. It's just an excuse to buy more time, try and figure out a way out of it. Because the other thing that is even more maddening is she was also getting SNAP benefits, food allowance for all three of these kids. And she wasn't using any of it on them. She literally didn't even have to pay for food to drop it off even. And she didn't do that. She DoorDashed them pizzas from Little Caesars. Literally, they had to bring a garbage truck, several garbage trucks out to the front of the house. And people in hazmat suits had to go in and completely pull out boxes and boxes and boxes. They're pizza boxes. These babies were sleeping on pizza boxes. Oh, and that's another thing, too. You've got Letitia Stoke getting a retrial. You've got Alex Murdaugh getting a retrial. You've got, aside from the fact that he hurt his wife, he hurt his child, too. And was he under 18? No, but he was still his child. And that's the weird thing. There has not been any element of drugs brought up in this case. So it's even worse because choosing drugs over your kids is horrible enough, but being that evil deep down and that much of in my eyes, a sociopath that you aren't even on anything and you did something so evil. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I don't even like it when my son goes to his dad's house for the night. I'm a nervous wreck. I can't wait till he's back with me. And he's with his dad. I know he's okay, and I still feel that way. I can't imagine leaving little children in a house. I mean, anything could have happened. There could have been a tornado. There could have been a fire. What if the power went out? What if the furnace went out? What if there was carbon monoxide? I mean, by the grace of God, these children somehow survived and physically survived, not mentally. And what happens to them for the rest of their lives? The one good thing that came from this is they literally within days had to ask to stop people from sending donations. They were sending clothes, they were sending book bags, they were sending toiletries, because these kids didn't even know how to brush their teeth. Exactly. These were townhomes that were connected together. How did nobody smell anything? They said that the odor was so horrible when they walked up. The police officer that was the first on scene is literally, 1111, make a wish, is literally traumatized from this. I mean, that poor man going in there and just being like, oh my gosh. They thought someone had died in there. That's how bad it smelled. 2 bathrooms completely full of human waste. It was all over the house. They didn't know how to even use a toilet, a bathroom. They didn't know how to brush their teeth. They didn't know how to take a shower. Both tubs were filled with waste. Both toilets were overflowing. I mean, it looked like a war zone in that home. You could literally smell the pictures. And, oh, yes, that just reporting has got me just, oh. What he did to that baby. No. This is like the year of the retrial, and I don't understand why. I get it. Everybody deserves certain legal rights. But it just doesn't seem fair, especially when there are these cases where there isn't much doubt in anyone's mind, or any doubt that these, I don't even want to call them people or human beings, because I don't believe that when you hurt someone that badly that you are human. I think you lost that part of yourself a long time ago if you ever had it. Oh man, I'm telling you. I am telling you. It's, you don't want to, and you're right, just reporting, you don't want to hate people. You don't want to become so jaded. But my gosh, it's like, it's unbelievable the things that people do to each other. Well, and that's it. There's so many people in the world that would do anything to give a child a good home. You know what's even worse about this that I just remembered is their father actually was trying to get visitation of them, but he had a record. And so she was not allowing them to visit him. And he was I don't know if it was because of money or what, but he had been trying to get at least partial custody of them, and she wouldn't allow it. And she was fighting him tooth and nail about that. Now, why? Why not just give them to their dad? Because at least it would have been somebody. Maybe there would have been a grandma around or aunts. And that's the thing, too. Her family was close. Her father was a preacher and was constantly doing these food drives for the community. So that's my question. If my family didn't see at least one of my kids at a family function in almost 5 years, they'd be asking me questions. Oh, exactly, Doug, exactly. Bingo, because she wanted those benefits. She probably got cash, and we know she got food. And who knows? Like, there's certain things that is not public, but she had talked about, there was some rumor too about her saying that one or more of the children were on the spectrum. So I also wondered, did she get Social Security for those kids? Because that could be a whole other case too, if that's the case. But one good thing did come of this is Sheriff Bouchard, who went to legislature and he was working on a laws, because what happened was supposedly she had taken them out of the school that they were in and had told that school that they were going to be going to school in Pontiac. Well, the problem is she never registered them in Pontiac school, or she registered them in Pontiac schools, but they never showed up. And Pontiac assumed that they probably just stayed back at their old school, and their old school just assumed that she had gone and put them in Pontiac school system. But apparently there's no checks and balances between schools that way. So Sheriff Bouchard was trying to put into law that schools have to check. So if a child is unregistered from one school and then re-registered at another, that school has to check, the old school has to check and make sure that that child is attending school that year at the school that they were supposedly going to. And vice versa, if the school that they are registered at does not see them, then they have to get in contact with the school that they were last registered at to find out if they are still attending that school. So that there is some kind of paper trail to find out and make sure that these kids aren't just lost in the smoke. But see, all this happened right before COVID. It was 2019, I believe. And so these kids got lost. And there is help. That's just it. There's always help. But she had help, but she wanted to keep it for herself. She was living fine where she was living. And that's why what happened was, and I believe this is probably what happened, because it sounds like the last couple months, she was only dropping off loaves of bread. Okay? That's it. A loaf of bread. And it was supposed to last them 3 to 4 days. 3 kids. And I don't know y'all, but my kids, my oldest, when he was that age, was eating me out of house and home. And so what happened was, what I believe happened, her rent quit getting paid about the same time that she started just leaving bread. So I am wondering if she got cut off because of her benefits, because she couldn't prove something, couldn't whatever, made too much money maybe, because she did have a job at the time. And that's why the rent quit getting paid, because her rent was being vendored through Section 8. And in October was the last payment, I believe, that the landlord said that he received. And in February is when the kids were found, because the landlord called in a welfare check because he hadn't gotten his rent in 3 months and couldn't get a hold of her. And he said before then, the rent was there every month. That's what I'm wondering. Yeah. And she didn't have anything. Yeah. And see, this would have been about the time that everything was kind of starting to, when the COVID restrictions went past COVID, as far as how things were done, how things had to be turned in, etc. There was a whole mess with my youngest birth certificate because he was born in 2020, and it was just a whole blah. And so they got lost in this mess that we had going on. And so that's what I believe. And then she didn't want to use her own money. And she was probably using her own money for food for herself and her boyfriend and her hair and her nails. Because like I said, she wasn't doing those nails herself. Okay. She was going to get her nails done. She was always, in all of her pictures, she's dressed beautifully. Not my choice of outfits, but she was queen of the selfie, very revealing clothes. She was all about living her best life online while her kids are literally sitting in a house. And they each had a phone. I think they each had a phone that they could watch stuff on and play games. So that's just the disgusting, disgusting people. I mean, Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Had more than people who work 50, 60 hours a week and pay all their bills and take care of their kids. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, oh man. My oldest son, he still does. He's 16 now, and oh my gosh. The other night he was eating ABCs or like SpaghettiOs and meatballs. SpaghettiOs and meatballs is what it was. And he loves dipping potato chips in it. And I gave him a bowl of potato chips on the side with it. And he comes up to me and says, "Hey, can I get some more chips?" And I'm like, "Yeah." No, I said, "Yeah." I said, "Just don't eat the whole bag, okay?" He's like, "Oh, no, don't worry." I go back in to the kitchen. Of course, the chip bag is on the counter, out in the pantry again. And there's literally like 2 chips left in the bottom. I'm like, oh my God. Like, really? An entire bag of chips. Now, granted, with the air pocket, that's not a lot, right? But still, I mean, these kids were underweight. They were, and that's it. Oh my gosh. That's what we always used to laugh about is like, where is your school stomach? Like during summer vacation or Christmas vacation, because at school, he eats an apple, some Cheetos, and a brownie every day. That's it. He barely eats any breakfast. And then at night he eats a good dinner, but that's about it. But as soon as summer hits, it's like all day long. Both of them all day long. Just snack. And like today I took them both out to, they had gotten me a gift certificate to, well, not they, my oldest son and my ex-husband gave me a gift certificate to Olive Garden for Mother's Day. And so I took that and I took both boys out for an early dinner tonight. Oh my gosh. My oldest ate a giant bowl of spaghetti. He ate a bunch of breadsticks. He had a big piece of cake. My youngest had 4 chicken tenders, ate a big thing of grapes, ate 2 breadsticks, and then we bought we got a piece of cake to split. I took like maybe 3 or 4 bites. It was so rich, it was too much. That little stinker ate the rest of it. Oh, that's cool, Truth. Our school does this thing, and it starts in, I think it's like 2nd or 3rd week of July, and they do it to get rid of all the stuff out of the school pantry, basically. But they do these, it's called like a lunch, like a drive-through lunch, and they do it at the school parking lot, and you just drive through, and you can get they make these brown bag lunches, and usually it's like a turkey sandwich or a peanut butter sandwich, chips, fruit, yogurt, and like either a bottle of juice or a bottle of milk, or like a little carton of milk. And it's really cool. So we've done it before, like before we've been like gonna go to the park, and like so both the boys get their little kind of picnic lunch, and it helps the school because the school's not wasting food, and anybody can do it. And it's they started that a couple of years ago, so I thought that was cool. They actually started it during COVID. Yeah, it really is. So all this food's not wasted, and it's coming from a safe kitchen because it's what they eat during the year. And oh, that's cool. That's really cool, Truth. Oh man, we used to get down with the MREs when we did scouts. There's actually some really good ones now. Oh, nice. Applesauce. That was something else. Those little cups of applesauce that was sometimes in the lunches, and like cheese sticks and stuff like that. So yeah. But yeah, so there's literally no reason. Especially when you live near a place like Detroit that has so many places you can go. You live near a big city, you've got millions of options. We live out, hey, anybody that sat with me during the parade, do I or do I not live in Walnut Grove? Okay, Walnut Grove-esque. So there's no excuse. There's no excuse at all. Oh, yeah, that's cool. So now I would like to get angry about someone else who I think is a monster. Well, and see, that's it too, Truth, is because you've got kids home. It is different when, like, a lot of them, at school, you can get the free breakfast and the free lunches, and a lot of families rely on that. And then all of a sudden you've got, and it's not just one kid, you've got several kids at home, and it's a huge drain on a family for all that money. And that's exactly it too. It could literally be their only meal. Before the schools offered breakfast, I know my mom was an elementary teacher, and she and some of her other teachers, there were kids that they knew didn't eat breakfast, and so they would sometimes have something in their classroom so that the kids could kind of come in early and have something. Because it is true, when they don't eat, they don't learn as well, they don't behave as well. Blood sugar is a huge thing that has to do with brain power and being able to concentrate and have energy just to do what you've got to do. So now segue into the latest monster that we've been talking about, Brian Hooker. And I don't really know what's going on. I've heard he was in Michigan, but then I've also heard that people don't know where he was, and they were wondering if he's out of the country, if he snuck off somewhere. And I loved the lunch ladies at our school. When I was going to school, I didn't know the ones that were there with my son, but I loved the ladies. They were so sweet. They'd always get you extra little goodies if you got in good with them. The homemade peanut butter candy, which, by the way, I need to make that one of these days. I should have made some of that stuff today. It was cool. It was only like 68 out today, and it felt chilly. But after it being like almost 90 the past week, I should have done some baking today. So, all right. So this is, so the title of this is Brian Hooker refuses to cooperate in suspected murder probe missing in the Bahamas. Which, yes, surprise. I mean, I'm not surprised that he's not cooperating. He's not my favorite person. You know what, Truth? It feels so cold after being so hot. I woke up this morning. I was like, I put on like I had, well, and then the restaurant had the air on, so I had like a button down like flannel shirt on. Heck yeah, for battery powered fans and for chargeable fans. Let me see. I am going to speed this up as usual.
Hundo. It is not true.
Okay.
Hey everyone, I'm Ashleigh Banfield. This is Drop Dead Serious. Welcome to the Northern Outpost in Canada. Big news for you again today in the Lynette Hooker investigation. First and foremost, let me say this. If you have seen headlines anywhere that say that the Coast Guard has concluded their work into this missing persons case and this investigation, it is so not true. Like a hundo. It is not.
Okay, now I want to say that because I did see one of the major news outlets last night before I went to bed said that the investigation is closed out. They're done. And I'm like, wait a minute. I thought that they were going back. I thought they said that they were doing this, but that they had to go back and they were going to come back and search again, do some more, still working on the investigation, yada, yada. So according to her, they're not done. So that's a relief. Yeah, flannel in June. I was freezing.
True. It is so on.
I'm also old. So. Oh, it did. It took all the humidity right out.
That I can tell you right now, I learned from my sources today that Brian Hooker is not cooperating with the investigators, even though he's got this new federal experienced lawyer, right? This is a lawyer who apparently has experience with the Department of Justice, and yet Brian Hooker will not cooperate with them. And I can also tell you this, the Coast Guard would have brought all that stuff back, right? The dinghy, the other evidence that was retrieved from the Royal Bahamian Police Force, everything that they acquired on their 4-day trip. I get it, not Lynette's remains. That was a big disappointment to a lot of us that they didn't find her, but it was absolutely worthwhile according to my sources. That trip brought back a lot of very telling evidence. And so the way it typically works in my line of work, I get this, I've done this a million times, is now you need time to process it, right?
And that's what I cannot wait to find out what they found. I mean, now granted, we may not know until there's a trial, but this is going to be really interesting because whatever it was turned this into a homicide investigation.
And that takes time. It takes paperwork. There might be a moment of quiet for a while, but it sure as F does not mean that this is over. I'm hearing the exact opposite. It's ramping up. So there's a lot of curiosity that I have when I hear that. So later on in this podcast, I got a treat for you. I'm going to talk to Mark Garagos, who, as you'll know, has been an attorney to the super rich and famous and powerful. And, you know, people like Michael Jackson, who can afford the best of the best, and they mount robust defenses. Well, guess who else Mark Garagos defended? Scott Peterson. That was a guy.
And I forgot about Scott Peterson, Mark Garagos being Scott Peterson's lawyer. I completely forgot about that.
Whose wife vanished. And he said he wanted to find her and yet was found running for the border. So Mark Garagos had to mount a pretty robust defense for Scott Peterson when he was tried. And so I think that this is a great conversation because I'm seeing a lot of parallels between these cases. First and foremost, if this were over, all that evidence would be given back, right? That evidence would be given back. It's not being given back. It is in impound in the Southern District in Florida. Okay, so that's huge. Number two, why would we be hearing this communication?
Yeah, I remember that. I'm not a big fan of his. Oh, I know. I loved it that night you did that when we were talking about that. That was such a good conversation. You know how I love those good combos.
About Brian Hooker's lawyer, the new federal guy, who is not the same as Crystal Marie Hauser, the state level attorney that he originally hired in Michigan. This is a brand new dude. This is someone who's got experience dealing with federal cases because guess what? Coast Guard's a federal case. And that lawyer's saying, Brian's not interested in communicating. He's not interested in cooperating. So I don't get that. Because if Brian's story is that he's a victim in all of this, if his story is that he's lost his wife and he's in mourning, she bounced off the back of the dinghy and I tried to rescue her and I was marooned for hours, you know, in the rough seas that were angry, my friend, and ended up washing up on Marsh Harbor. Why isn't he helping? Why isn't?
I have my guess as to why he's not helping. Really, Canvas and Crime. That's awesome. Exculpatory evidence? That's what I like doing. What I like doing is printing them out. I don't like reading them off a computer screen. I like printing them out and sitting there and being able to turn the page and actually listening to them. Oh yeah, get us some. I want some beef jerky.
He helping anyone at any time. So for instance, I've done interviews with Lynette's mom, Darlene, and her husband, Bill. That's stepdad, right? Devastated. They're doing everything they can to help the Coast Guard find Lynette. Brian's not. Brian won't cooperate. He won't talk to them. He won't talk to the Coast Guard. He won't even talk to his family. I've also done interviews with Dan and Kathy. Dan is Lynette's dad. Kathy's Lynette's stepmom. They are devastated and doing everything they can to help the Coast Guard, to help find Lynette. Brian's not. Brian's not.
That's how we call you, FBI Doug. Ooh, hush puppies. I love the hush puppies. Yeah, exactly, Truth. I like to highlight them. I like to put notes on them. Yep. And I like to, like, if I don't know what something means, I'll Google it. I'll look it up. I'll call, you know, I've got family members I can, like, call and be like, what's this mean?
Cooperating. Brian's not even talking to them. And their family. That's his father-in-law. Not a word from Brian. Now, if Brian's innocent, wouldn't he be helping? Wouldn't he be connecting with his family? How about Carly? Daughter he's known since she was 3. She's helping the Coast Guard. She's giving information to the Coast Guard. She's giving her DNA to the Coast Guard, as are Darlene, Lynette's mom, and Dan, Lynette's dad. They're all giving their DNA. They're helping to get the dental records for Lynette. They're helping the Coast Guard. And you got to ask yourself, why did the federal investigators with the Coast Guard Investigative Service, why did they ask for DNA after they seized Soulmate? You know, the 46-foot Morgan where Brian and Lynette had been living for the last 4 years on board this lovely sailboat? Why would they ask for the DNA after?
You love our parasocial experiments in here, Doug. Okay, that's what we are, a giant experiment. But you love us, and we love you.
They seized soulmate. Did they find something? Did they find something on board that boat? Anyway, something to contemplate, and maybe something we're going to learn in the near future. And Lynette's husband? Nothing. Never lifted a finger. Instead, fled the Bahamas. Right after he said he would never leave until he'd helped to find her. It would take a higher power to get him to leave the Bahamas without his wife. The higher power was an airplane the next day. And while he was saying all that, he was in the background with the U.S. consulate or embassy and getting his emergency passport in order for his flight the next day. So in my line of work, that's called consciousness of guilt. And if there's a trial, I'm not saying there's going to be a trial. He's not charged with anything yet.
And we have the best snacks. I have to think that, Doug. We also have the best snacks. Both, my man Jerry. She went out on her own. She's got Drop Dead Serious podcast now. That's her own independent podcast. But she also now does like a couple days later, they'll put some of her stuff on News Nation. Yeah. So she's doing both, which I kind of think is kind of awesome. Yep, she did. Yep.
But if and when a jury hears this stuff, that's called consciousness of guilt. And that's very, very powerful because jurors do not check their common sense at the door when they deliberate. And their standard is reasonable doubt. Reasonable. What's reasonable in all this? What's reasonable behavior? What's reasonable? None of what Brian Hooker is doing is reasonable.
Well, this is the thing. This is what I don't understand about guilty or innocent. Is to me, if you were innocent, you'll be doing everything you could to try and find your wife, trying to find somebody to find her, some search team, something. If you're guilty, you should be doing everything you can to try and convince everybody that you're innocent by going out and searching, by going out, and see, that's it too, is who knows what, you just never know. You never know. Because now there's I've got to watch it. It's Brian Enton, a theory in that Murdaugh thing that there could be talking about people assisting with the cleanup afterwards and the disposal of certain evidence. And we heard today, about the shotguns that were the third set of shotguns that were missing. Oh, I do too. I used to like Nancy Grace until I can't remember what case it was that I was watching her. And there was something that I knew not to be true that she went wild after. And I thought, I was so disappointed. I was just like, oh, yelling at the TV, no, but that's what's just so weird is he's just absolutely indifferent. He's so arrogant that he doesn't feel like he's got to do anything. And that just screams even more guilt to me. No, the one housekeeper, Blanca, took care of laundry. She took care of some laundry that was laying on the floor in the bathroom and didn't realize that it may have held GSR residue. But the other housekeeper was the one that fell and got a severe head injury on the front steps, and then later on, after a coma, passed away. And he ended up kind of dishonestly suing himself through another lawyer to get a lawsuit for her sons, and then never gave them the money. Oh, yeah, I agree. Just reporting. I agree. But I think, it is. I think truth
right out of it.
It's going to bite.
Refusing to speak to the Coast Guard? They were just in the Bahamas for 4 days searching. Brian, didn't you want to help find your wife? Why wouldn't you help them? Why did you refuse to talk to them then? Why are you refusing to talk to them now? Just ask yourself, is this reasonable? Because in my line of work, it's called unreasonable. Maybe that federal attorney, who has worked in the federal system before, has said to Brian Hooker, you are fucked. Which is, I'm sorry for the F-bomb, but exactly the language one of my sources gave me, who is in deep knowledge of the investigation. So maybe that lawyer.
And, you know, I don't curse on live videos usually on my videos. I do in real life, but I have to agree. I think that really in this instance is the only word that can describe what his forecasted future is.
The new lawyer that he's hired has said, you in trouble, fella. Tell me everything, because we're going to need to mount a case. This looks like they may have you. Body, don't worry about it. If you have watched my episodes before, you will know that I have done many, many cases with no body ever recovered. No body does not mean no case. Do not believe it when people tell you that. I'm sorry. I'm just going to tell you it is bullshit. I have done the cases myself, many of them, where there has been a conviction.
Exactly. And not in the good way. Exactly, truth. And I agree with you. Which I got to figure out how to get that off my phone. So, one of my friends was out in LA, and she went by the house, the Nicole Brown Simpson house, and they've remodeled it and gotten rid of that walkway that was out there and brought the house out so that it doesn't have that long walkway anymore. And I can't get it off my phone to show you though.
And yet no body was ever found. Doesn't matter. Sometimes the evidence is just as compelling, and not finding the body doesn't matter.
Okay. Does anybody think that was somebody laying?
Body was ever found. Doesn't matter. Sometimes the evidence is...
He's looking in a hole. Oh my God. Oh yeah, I could do that. I'll show you guys tomorrow.
It's just as compelling.
If we do like a chill live at night.
And not finding the body doesn't matter. Finding all the lies and finding all the other evidence, that matters. Because let's not forget, Lynette's family was asked to give their DNA. Yeah, that's for identification purposes for sure. If they had found Lynette's remains, sure, that would be for identification purposes, but there could be all sorts of other reasons too. All sorts. And I'm going to get into that in further episodes, but today I think it's critical to sort of analyze the fact that a guy who refuses to cooperate with the
Oh, it was good seeing you just reporting. Have a good night. I can't get it off my phone. It's on the wrong phone. I wonder if I could forward it to my other phone and then put it in Discord, because my Discord on my other phone. Okay, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. Oh. Just like that. Bear's back. Exactly. As innocent as OJ. As innocent as Hillary. We got Bear in his eyeballs. Thank you, my man, Jerry. Jerry, I love you, girl. Oh, okay. Well, tell me when you're back, Bear. Okay. Okay, yeah, see if you can do that, Truth, because I don't know what I'm doing.
Coast Guard, right after he said all he wants to do is find his wife, and they're there looking. What exactly does that mean? Well, I'll tell you what, Mark Garagos is the guy who defends guys like this, and they're entitled to a reasonable defense. They are entitled to a robust defense in the United States. God bless America, y'all. I do love it, because I have worked as a war correspondent in places like Iraq where Saddam Hussein's justice was a hood, and that was it. You're not entitled to a defense. So I actually really appreciate lawyers like Mark Garagos who say, you know, the wrongly accused, sometimes the case looks so bad against them, they deserve a robust defense. So I...
Good to see you, Bear. Welcome back. In January, it was a year. So January, February, March, April, May, June. So 1 year, 5 months I've been doing it. I think. Yeah.
sure hope this fella that Brian Hooker.
But I wasn't having this much fun the whole time, so I'm glad I met you guys.
Has hired can give him a robust defense. Because I don't want Brian Hooker coming back. If he's charged, I'm not saying he is, he's not charged, but if he's charged, I don't want him coming back after a trial that might yield a guilty verdict saying ineffective assistance of counsel. I hope he got a really good lawyer, like the best.
Exactly.
I think this evidence is strong.
On this
I think the evidence they're mounting and the case they're mounting against him is going to be irrefutable for a jury that might use reasonable doubt as a standard. So here's my conversation with Mark Garagos. Do you ever notice everything feels more expensive lately between air travel, anything like me? That's why I love my new sponsor, Rocket Money. Also, the link's down below. So, Mark Garagos, what do you make of the fact that Brian Hooker is being uncooperative? He will not cooperate or speak to the U.S. Coast Guard, all at the time that they've been looking for his wife in the Bahamas. 4 days over there.
I will. They're going to pay me my 3 cents an ad, whether they like it or not, Doug. Okay. And that's just the thing. I'm not trying to get rich on here, but it ticks me off. It's just rude. Okay. It's just rude. When I literally scrolled on some dude sitting in his living room, okay, no shame, but he weighed like 600 pounds. He was sitting in a captain's chair, sleeping on live, and he was getting super chats left and right. I'm like, oh, I know. I tried it tonight, but I got to find I can't remember what it said, but I'm going to do that. That's one of my goals this week. Okay, here we go. Sorry, I squirreled.
There, but he will not help. Everyone else is helping. He won't help.
Well, the problem is that people have already decided he's the chief suspect. They're not buying his story. He did, speaking of cooperation, as is always the case, he's asked what happens. He gives a story. Now, the holes have been punched in that story. There is no upside to him helping.
Yeah, you thought those were mice? Those are my droids, okay? Cyber mice.
Anymore, because at this point, they have,
Meese.
as you have detailed, they've seized the boat. They've you have done a yeoman's job in terms of masterfully destroying some of the logical inferences of his story. If he's got a lawyer who has any kind of criminal defense experience, they're just going to tell him that eat the pun, but the ship has sailed. You need to shut it down.
Yeah. So that's what, that makes perfect sense in the community that you and I live in and work in, which is you've got to protect your rights. It can't be used against you that you use your right to remain silent.
Exactly.
But jurors are a different animal. They want to know why you weren't there in a boat helping to search. Why did you get on a plane the day after you?
I put the cockroaches in Doug's bushes. So just FYI. And the birds.
Said it's going to take a higher order to keep me from leaving the Bahamas when the higher order was the airplane the next day.
It's not a bad or wrong thought. I've always laughed when judges instruct a jury that you have to ignore the fact that a defendant does not take the stand to testify. Very similar. He hasn't been charged with anything, but people are like, why aren't you cooperating? Well, even though you tell people that you've got good reasons for it, or my lawyer told me not to, it makes you look guilty. So if you've got the resources and it's a high-profile case or even a relatively media case, you should be doing everything possible, absent you talking publicly, to look for your ex or figure out what happened.
And he's talking about the ex, but he's also talking about testifying. Now, when we saw in the Alex Murdaugh case, though, that was exactly the wrong thing for him to do. He came off skeevy. And he was dripping in snot, and it was gross. I literally couldn't eat lunch the 2 days he was on the stand. It was disgusting. I mean, so does it look bad? Yeah. But sometimes it looking bad is not as bad as the outcome as if they actually testify. So yeah.
To his credit or detriment, he has given a story. His story is not going to change. There's nothing that he can do that is going to shed any more light on it. He has told what he says happened. After that, what more can he do? He's not an expert in marine wind patterns. He's not an expert, or maybe he's an expert in boats, but I doubt, well, actually, he is or does have some expertise in how to track things or himself, right?
Yeah, and he's been a sailor living aboard his boat for 4 years. So this guy knows, everything about, well, certainly he's been, I think at the time that this happened, he'd been 9 weeks, I think, in the Abaco. So had really intimate knowledge of this place. But, mum's the word. The other thing that I wanted to ask you about, I get not talking to the authorities because a good lawyer will say, even if you're innocent, don't talk to the authorities. But what about the fact that he hasn't spoken to his entire family? If he's innocent and in mourning, wouldn't he be with his daughter that he's known as a stepdad since she was 3, commiserating with her, with his mother-in-law, Darlene, who's at her wit's end wanting to find her daughter? Not a word to them since like a couple of days after this happened.
And this is something else that, after we go through this, I do want to bring attention again to Starla Goings, because this is something very similar in her case too. Her husband, even though they were on the verge of divorce, was very similar. She did not feel safe there. She was very worried about her things. Something Lynette Hooker told her mother, I'm worried about my things. It's all the silly little things that you kind of use to talk yourself into everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. And he has also not spoken to to their daughter that they share. And she's been missing since August of last year of 2025 out of Munising, Michigan, up in the UP. And he moved out of their home, sold it. He got rid of her things. He was seen throwing her things out at the dump. There was a couple months ago a search warrant where they were literally digging in the yard on the property. Now, I don't know if it was before or after he sold it, if anything was found. But again, there's no trace of her anywhere. And they've done searches. They've tried to find her. They've done it at different times of the year and nothing. This is a big hunting community. You would think that somebody would find something. And now he's gone, living at some family member's house, not saying a word to anybody, even his own children.
Well, I don't think anybody, unfortunately, I hate to state the obvious. Does anybody think she's alive? So, no, nobody does. And I don't know that finding her body is going to give anybody any solace. I mean, it will give you the solace of closure that you can bury the person and go through the ritual. But I don't think at this point, given the amount of time that's elapsed, that it's going to tell you anything that actually happened. Maybe, you never know. I don't want to foreclose that. But if his mother-in-law and if his stepdaughter are not supportive, then there's no upside to that, because normally the police, if those people suspect him of wrongdoing, they're going to use those people as a pretext to get information, admissions, confessions, anything oral. And then what are you going to do? You're going to wire him up. You're going to say as the lawyer, you're going to say, yeah, go talk to your stepdaughter about it. Go talk to your mother-in-law about it. And that would be irresponsible and almost malpractice per se for the lawyer to give that advice as well.
I get you. That makes perfect sense. The only thing
I understand it from a legal standpoint, but if you love Lynette and you didn't have anything to do with this, and you're scared to death, or you're heartbroken that you've lost your wife, I would think that you would at least be able to say to Carly, I love you. We will find her. I did not do this. And that's it. You don't have to give testimony. You don't have to give facts. But nothing. Nothing. And same with Steve Goings. You may not have loved her mother anymore, but your daughter, you're not there for your daughter whose mother is lost, no matter why she's lost. I don't understand that.
I don't get is that, Brian Hooker, if his story is true, lost his wife in a horrible tragedy, should be a broken man, leaves the Bahamas like within 12 hours of saying, I'll never leave here without my wife, and stops talking to his de facto daughter and his mother-in-law before anybody made an accusation against him. So his behavior preceded those who now come to the determination because of his behavior that he must be guilty. And again, I'm not saying he's guilty, he's not charged, but that's timing.
Yeah, and it is, I think you put your finger on the pulse of one of these cases. And I've done enough of them to know, obviously, anybody who ever talked to any investigator, anybody who's covered these things.
Oh, no, I was saying that Starla Goings is another missing woman whose story is very similar to this as far as her husband not even reporting that she was missing. And there's just very similar things between the two cases, that you have these husbands whose wives, according to them, according to Steve Goings, his wife just walked off and never came back. And according to Brian Hooker, his wife bounced off the back of the dinghy. They're both from Michigan. Oh, sweet truth. Thank you. So Lynette Hooker is originally, they're from Grand Rapids, Muskegon area in Michigan. And Starla Goings is from the Upper Peninsula. She's from Munising, Michigan. And she was last seen at the Escanaba State Fair with her ex-husband. Went home that night. They know that she got home because her Apple Watch, another Apple Watch wearer, connected to her like a glucose meter or something of the sort in her home. And but after Saturday night midnight, or Friday night midnight, excuse me, she was not seen again until her daughter, who hadn't heard from her in days, which it wasn't like her, called the sheriff's department because her dad wouldn't answer the phone, and did a welfare check. And that's when he was basically forced to speak to the sheriff that came up to him, came up to his home to ask him where his wife was.
The first person who comes under suspicion is the intimate partner or the partner of an intimate relationship.
I'll play a short that I've got on her before we leave tonight.
And so you don't have to be a genius or have an IQ of over 120 to figure out that he is a suspect. If he's talked to a lawyer and said, what the heck should I do? I'm at wit's end. Do I stay here? Do I look for her? What do I do? So most lawyers are going to shut him down and tell him there is no upside to this. It's unfortunate. It sounds cold and callous. In some ways it is. But at the same time, spending the rest of your life in a prison because for something you didn't do is as cold and callous as it gets.
Yeah, the optics are bad, but I get what you're saying. Can I ask you this? Lynette's family, her mom, her dad, their spouses, Lynette's daughter, and Lynette's friend, they all detailed prior bad acts that weren't charged and convicted, right? One was charged and he was exonerated. He was acquitted of choking his 12-year-old daughter. The other incidents that Lynette contemporaneously reported to her friend and her mom and her dad was that he was beating her up and she'd flee the Bahamas and come and stay with them, and then eventually would go back, and they lament that she had battered woman syndrome. She just kept going back to her batterer. Again, accusations not charged, not convicted. If he's charged with this crime, can the investigators, can the prosecutors bring these acts before a jury?
Oh yeah, no worries, Jerry. No, you don't have to be. I just recently opened one, so anybody that's on Discord, if you want in there, you're totally welcome. It's just I've just got one chat. I'm gonna start one with the Murdaugh. I'm gonna start another, what do you call them, server or whatever. So I can put all the Murdaugh stuff in there. But yeah, no, nobody has to be at all. It's just a place where we add like files, videos, things like that. I announced that I'm live in there on mine, just because sometimes people don't get the notifications, things like that. But no, you're good. You don't have to. It's not a requirement.
Absolutely. And you'll remember the Harvey Weinstein case where there was just a 9-3 for acquittal.
And to be honest, I have no idea what I'm doing in there anyway. So
Hung jury determined the first time that case was tried. That was the third trial. First time, that is what in New York State Court they call Molyneux. In California, we call it 1101. And federally, you've got 404, which are similar acts that may be uncharged. The judge has the gatekeeper function where he has to say, is this more prejudicial than probative? Does this tend to show a pattern, for instance? Does this show a motive? Does this have some kind of relationship that is tethered to the current charge?
I just have to figure out how to do that. I keep meaning to go into my settings and figure that out, but I just haven't had time.
I always call it the character assassination block, and every good prosecutor uses it, where they figure, if I don't have enough evidence, I'm just going to get the jury to hate this person by throwing everything up there, every bad act I can think of, even if he was acquitted, even if he was never charged or arrested, but it's still a bad act. It's up to the judge to ferret that out.
I never understand it, because in Phil Spector, woman after woman after woman after woman all said the same thing. I tried to leave after this date and he held a gun to my head, and yet the judge only allowed a couple of them, not all of them. So I get the pattern, but sometimes I am curious about unconvicted prior bad acts, just allegations that maybe someone might have a dog in the fight. Who knows? But
remember in the Diddy case also, and on the appeal, there the judge sentenced him and invoked, and the prosecution said, hey, he was acquitted on this stuff, but the conduct he was acquitted on, we want you to enhance his sentence on that. So that's up in the federal court of appeal right now as we're talking.
It's all very subjective, and jurisdiction to jurisdiction, it changes. I think I know what I'm doing, and then suddenly I get into someone else's courtroom, and it's like, wait, a slap in the face, and I'm, schooled again, at my regular.
And to your point, it is a patchwork across the country in the state courts, and it is different in different circuits in federal courts. So it's a highly, highly subjective determination.
That's something, I think that's one of the things that is so interesting to me in a lot of these court cases, is that depending on jurisdiction, things can be so differently, and each case can be tried so differently depending on where it falls jurisdiction-wise.
Is it more too prejudicial? Is it probative? That's what they go through. Does it show us something? And I really think it's in the eye of the beholder. It really is.
Well, all of us out here in layperson land, we all think it's probative, and we all think, what the heck? What do you mean prejudicial?
Exactly.
Trials are prejudicial. You're trying to convict the guy.
I've often said that and I always laugh when the shoe's on the other foot when the prosecutor argues that, hey, judge, you can't let this defense evidence in. It's going to prejudice us. And I said, this whole case is about prejudicing my client.
That's what evidence is. It's prejudicial. It's judging. Anyway, let me ask you this. I was curious about this. The Coast Guard obtaining DNA from Lynette's dad, Lynette's mom, and Lynette's daughter, but not for weeks and weeks. They only did it after they seized Soulmate, and they were starting to process Soulmate. What does that say to you? Because I know you would look at that through a different lens.
Yeah, my guess is they swabbed Soulmate. They have what is called kind of mixed DNA. They're trying to do various techniques where they're able to identify exactly what they've got, and whether it's hers, whether it's excluded from her, whether it's her daughter's, for instance, and things of that nature. Normally, when you've got a mixture, they have to do that.
Yeah, but I think, oh my God, I've lived on a sailboat. I have not lived, just like for like a week at a time, but it's tiny, right? It's tiny. And so the liver is going to have DNA all over the place inside that boat. So there's got to be something a little bit more forensic to this, meaning DNA of hers is somewhere maybe it shouldn't be.
Well,
that's what I wondered. When it went from missing persons to a murder investigation. Sorry, I found another bag of my cinnamon buttons, so I'm getting down with those again. But that's what I'm wondering. Did they find DNA of hers somewhere it wasn't supposed to be? Did they maybe find some blood evidence? Did they, oh, Jerry, thanks. I'm glad you feel comfortable here. I'm glad. Like I said, everybody's welcome. Within, there's a few people, but they already know who they are, so that doesn't matter. And they've probably already been blocked. But I like everybody's opinions. I like the difference in opinions. I don't know anybody enough to have a problem with them, so you can come in here, you can hang out, and hang in the bushes. I don't even get offended with people who say that they like to listen to me to go to sleep because my voice puts them to sleep. So I try not to get too upset about things. I try not to drop a lot of stuff real loud. But I'm glad you're all here.
I don't know that it's where necessarily it shouldn't be, but there are also different kinds of DNA. There's DNA that you can identify that would be more consistent with sweat. You would have DNA that would be more consistent with blood style evidence or excretions or things like that. You can do some pretty sophisticated testing with DNA, and you might want to have different samples so that you make sure that if a defense lawyer gets up there and starts cross-examining, they haven't done their homework in terms of eliminating possibilities or false positives.
So if you were, and I know that you're a lawyer who deals with state cases, you don't ever handle federal cases, correct? Or do you?
Oh, I do all the time. In fact, more of them now federally than state.
Okay, so tell me, if you were Brian Hooker's lawyer right now, other than telling him not to cooperate with the United States Coast Guard Investigative Service, what else would you be telling him?
Probably that I would be conducting a parallel investigation that matched exactly what I would think the feds are doing. I would download what his iCloud shows on his phone. I would see whether or not he had apps open that were tracking him at the time. He may know that. It was apparently, by all accounts, pretty sophisticated when it comes to that, and it worked at the phone.
Well, we know that at least one app was running that showed him circling those areas. And I still wonder, what was he doing?
Company. Those kinds of things. I would look at computer searches because I guarantee you they looked at all of his devices to see what kind of what his search history looks like. A very prevalent law enforcement idea. They're going to look at his phone records, see who he talked to, when he talked to them. They're going to scour his financial records. They're going to take a look at anything, and they're going to investigate anything that his wife was doing. So they will be talking to the wife's friends. They will be, the defense will probably go down as far as they can in terms of retrieving any of the wife's information and data that they've got. They're going to want to know everything, or try to know everything that the prosecution is doing.
Usually at this time, this is when I say, oh, they'll be looking at his Google searches, I'm sure. But now, Mark Garagos, there's a whole other area that you're going to have to look at, and that is AI, because we know, based on some of the messaging and the maps that he had created to send, to his friends, these are red herrings, because his GPS said he didn't do that trip that he told everybody he did. He used Gemini to do those searches and create those maps. So now there's a whole other area for not only federal investigators but defense attorneys to also run down as well, the AI searches and the map creations.
Yeah, and that can be devastating, because when you start, AI is so interactive in terms of asking questions, look for this. It really is like somebody's brain. You're actually, I used to make the argument 20 years ago that a circumstantial evidence case, when you want to look at the intent, because almost all of the cases that you cover and that I defend have to do with the mental state, right? It's always trying to prove the intent and
Mens rea.
Mens rea, exactly. Now, you now have AI searches where you literally are looking at somebody's brain, having an internal conversation. I can't imagine getting a better kind of window into somebody's intent in real time than an AI conversation.
I keep wondering if AI is any different than Google, meaning,
I don't know. AI scares me. Like, it's getting very, very hard to tell the difference in some of these videos. Oh, of course, my man, Jerry. Hey, same to you guys. You accept me, too. At least I think you do, right?
it's not private. If you went to Google and you did that, you don't have an expectation of privacy. I can't imagine it's any different with AI, although I've even heard it's less private.
In some ways, it is less private. In some ways, legally, clients now, you have to warn the client. Any search you do, depending on the jurisdiction you do in AI, in discovery, you can sometimes have to turn that over, the order to turn that over. I mean, that might seem unfair to somebody because it's so prevalent at this point, but that's a danger. That's a real danger.
Well, I hope I don't murder anyone, because my AI and my search history is all about murder.
Oh my God. Ashleigh, I can only imagine the rabbit holes you're going down in your AI, and your AI must think at a certain point it wants to put guardrails around you.
I think
Okay, we all need to be each other's excuses, because alibis, because I'm sure most of us, our search engines, if you're into true crime, are pretty freaky, right? Well, not freaky, but scary.
AI has probably called the FBI on me. I'm sure of it at some point.
Yep,
I know I've had to tell HR when I worked for NBC and when I worked for Core TV and News Nation. I had
Same for you, Truth. I got you too.
to tell HR, this is not porn. We're dealing with a very bad guy. You always have to just sort of.
I used to not want to in certain cases. I used to tell the prosecutor, you keep the stuff. I'll go look at it at your location. I don't want it at your office. I don't want it. Don't give it to me.
I'm with you. Yeah. I just want to ask you something. Listen, I've known you for a long time, and the cases that you've done in your life, I mean, you're kind of the GOAT, right? You've had everybody all the way up to Michael Jackson. And so you're not cheap, like you're an expensive lawyer. And all I keep thinking is when you said parallel investigation, that Brian Hooker's lawyer is going to have to conduct a parallel investigation against the weight of the United States Coast Guard Investigative Service and the DOJ. I just feel like this could cost millions.
Oh, it's you.
And that's just the thing. Like, one thing that we can have as solace is that Brian Hooker is not defending himself against the Pima County Sheriff's Department, okay? Right? He's defending himself against CGIS. And these people mean business. And, I mean, I'm sure we all are, Doug. I'm sure we all are. We all have... If anybody ever watched the movie Hoover or any documentaries, we all have an agent, right? I bet, Canvas. I bet. And the thing is that honestly, nothing we do is private anymore. Nothing.
No idea. I'm in Washington, D.C., just got here. And there used to be a football coach, and the football coach was fired. And the owner, when he fired him, said something to the effect of, I gave him a blank check and he already exceeded it. That I always laugh, because that is literally the U.S. government. When they come at you, you can't imagine the resources they bring to bear. So yes, it's very expensive. It's why when people say, oh, it's got to, their justice is a rich man's sport. No, the very richest of the rich they pale in comparison to what the resources the government can bring to bear on somebody.
So, I think a lot of people wonder then, well, how would a guy like Brian Hooker, Lynette, had the money? All of the friends and family and colleagues and coworkers, everybody we talked to said,
literally the United States military. Yeah, that's what we should call. We're not Cutsy's Claws. We're Cutsy's watch list crew, right? Good night, Jerry. Thanks for coming on in. Always good to see you. And hey, by the way, I don't know if you were on last night or not, but you were a bad influence on me. I ended up going and getting Snickers ice cream bars from the store because you were talking about the Snickers ice. You were talking about the Snickers, like Snickers almond. So, you bad influence, you. It's okay. It made me very happy before I went to bed last night. I had my ice cream bar. So, have a good night, Jerry.
Brian had blown through his 401k. Lynette had something like $650,000, maybe $700,000 in her 401k. There's no death certificate. Like, he can't just be helping himself to that. So financially, what kind of tools does he have to work with in order to hire this former DOJ lawyer who's got to do all the things that you just listed?
Well, and there's a lot of creative things you can do, but I'm not going to give away those secrets.
but I can say this: if there is a death certificate, technically he would have the survivor benefits, right? Until he's charged, and then it's shut down, right?
Correct. Although I had a case years ago, I tell this story where the woman was.
But something I'm wondering about too. So with this 401k plan, could he have? We need a financial whiz in here. Ooh. When they get back and they're rested up, I am going to ask Molly's husband. He is an international CPA. He deals with all that financial stuff. I bet you he can tell me whether or not there was a way for Brian Hooker to have access to Lynette's 401k. I'm wondering, power of attorney, durable power of attorney when someone's incapacitated. Would that count her being missing? Yada, yada. So, okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to. It might be a couple days because they were just on vacation, but I will ask him.
The husband had told the wife, I'm going to bring my mistress home. She's going to live with me in the bedroom. You can live downstairs. And she put on a negligee, went upstairs that night, tried to seduce him, and he kicked her and said, get out of here. She got the sashimi knife. She stabbed him, went downstairs.
But usually, though, with drivers, it's so much money out of his check. Oh, but wait, no, she was retired. So, yeah, that would depend on if it was, yeah. Yeah, if it was put into a joint bank account, then
stabbed herself, but she survived. The prosecutor charged her death penalty case or the special certs. We got her eventually a voluntary manslaughter. I forgot to mention her dead husband was a vice president of a life insurance company. Because she was not convicted of murder, she collected a very large life insurance policy, and the widow lived happily ever after.
Different circumstance, and I would never go on the record saying this, but I kind of get it.
So it's kind of funny because just like other cases, the jury, when they hung initially between second and voluntary manslaughter, it was a gender split. I'll let you guess which voted for manslaughter and which said murder.
Well, I think you and I might have been on the same side on that one,
Yes, exactly.
Side. But, here's Lynette, and all I ever hear from her coworkers and her friends and, of course, her family, but is that she was just so nice, And so I wonder, Mark, I always think, was there another woman? But they lived on board a sailboat.
They lived on the boat together. That's why I don't know. He may look bad, but I give him the presumption, and you'll be out there putting together circumstantial evidence that I never thought of, which is why I never.
But with that being said, they lived on a boat. Excuse me. He maybe couldn't physically have cheated, but we all know that there's lots of people, and it's men and women both, that have these relationships, these online relationships that give them a thrill. It's all about pictures and videos and stolen text messages from around the corner and whatever. And we see it every day. And I found it odd that there was some question about who he was staying with in California, because it wasn't his mother that he was staying with. He went there to supposedly go see her, but then he was spotted in Oregon too. So, and my thought with Oregon is a great way to get out to international waters. That's how, and they go through the crossing, that's how all of the crab boat captains get through and get around up into Alaska and to a lot of them come out of Washington and Oregon.
Never cease to amaze me. Thank you,
Well,
Ashleigh. I've got to jump.
I learned from the best. You've been a tutor of mine for 25 years now, so thank you. I'm sure you didn't want that to happen, where I'd be out there ripping everybody. And again, I have to just keep saying, he's not charged with anything yet.
Correct. Thanks, Ashleigh.
Good to see you, Mark. Thank you. My great thanks to Mark Garrigo.
Yeah, he's not charged with anything yet. Blah, 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 guilty sorry, innocent until proven guilty. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the Menendez brothers, they were spending their trust like water. Yep. And I mean, that's one of those things when you're married. And that to me would be even more motive. If he could get away with it, if he called this horrible accident. Also, another thing, and we mentioned this in, I don't know, it was another case that we were talking about, but a lot of times I would like to, it'd be interesting to find out if there were life insurance policies, because one of the fun little things about life insurance policies is they have these things called indemnities. And sometimes they have double and triple indemnities, meaning that if someone is found to have died in an accident, then you can get double to triple the amount of the insurance policy. So let's say that you have a life insurance policy for $100,000 and you die in an accident, like bouncing off of a dinghy and being washed out into the ocean or wherever and lost forever. You could possibly get $300,000. And while $300,000 isn't a lot for someone that lives in a home and has to pay, property taxes and has to pay for a car and car insurance and all that fun stuff, if you lived on a sailboat and you sailed the seas and you were only one person and you were making money off of your social media and you had at least, what did she just say, $400,000 from 401k plan from your wife and $300,000 from a life insurance policy, then you could very likely think about that. I did $100,000 because it was easy math for me. But even if you could definitely live the rest of your life out, you're in your 50s, right? On a sailboat, being Mr. Cool Guy, going to all the bars, pretending like you're Jimmy Buffett reborn, right? Again, innocent until proven guilty. I know, but I don't believe that anything he says or does, and that's that. So, with that being said, I really, really hope that they've got something and that soon we'll be hearing about charges being brought on Brian Hooker. Because, he was right about one thing, and that was in one of his interviews where he said, I was supposed to keep her safe. And you're right. You were. You're supposed to keep her safe, Brian. You're supposed to make sure that harm didn't come to her. And you were supposed to be the one person in the world that didn't hurt her, that protected her from every other horrible thing in the world. That's what you're supposed to do when you're a partner. You're supposed to be your partner's rock, your partner's strength. There's going to be rough times and things like that, but you don't get to take somebody's life because you don't want to be with them any longer, or because they make you angry. You don't get to put your hands on people. You had one job, and that was to love her and keep her safe. And it sounds to me like she probably would have done anything for him, but it was not mutual. So now, this is the other case that I want to, this is just a little 4-minute video, but this is the other case. This is the case of Starla Goings. She is from Munising, Michigan, and she went missing in August of 2025 from the Escanaba State, or from her home in Munising, Michigan. And he absolutely failed. And this is another man that failed. And I'm sorry, but the one of the most disgusting kinds of cowards in my book is a man that harms a woman. I'm old-fashioned, and I think both of these men were bigger and stronger, and they had no right. In today's Missing in Michigan, we are bringing attention to Starla Perry Goings. Now, I know we've already spoke about her, but today is the 23rd day in a row that she's been missing, and we cannot find her. Starla is 5'4", slim build with short white hair and tattoos on her upper arms and back. Now, as of last week, Starla Goings has been missing now 300 days. She's been missing since August 15th, 2025. Starla has been missing since the evening of Friday, August 15th, 2025. She has type 2 diabetes. Her vehicle was found at the end of 16 Mile Lake Road, and it is unclear if she had her phone with her when she went missing. Her family is very concerned about her. If you have seen Starla or know of her whereabouts, please contact the Alger County Sheriff's Department at 906-387-4444. As of now, there are no new public leads. The information that we have is that she is 65 years old, and she was last seen in Munising, Michigan on August 15th, 2025. She was last seen leaving her home around midnight in her 2019 Volkswagen SUV. She lives on Peninsula Point Road in Munising, Michigan with her husband, and she works as a bank teller. On August 15, 2025, Starla Goings was last seen by her husband around midnight, leaving their home on Peninsula Point Road in Munising, Michigan. Starla left in her 2019 Volkswagen, which was found a few miles away at the intersection of 16 Mile Lake Road and M94. At 6:30 p.m. on August 17, 2025, her adult children called the Michigan State Police for a welfare check after they learned no one had heard from her at all that weekend. On the evening of August 17, 2025, an Alger County Sheriff's deputy met with Starla's husband at their residence to complete the welfare check. After the welfare check, authorities found Starla's vehicle parked in a roadside lot 3.5 miles away from her home. The vehicle was collected by law enforcement for evidence processing. According to the sheriff, Starla's husband was the last person to have seen her at their Peninsula Point home on August 15th. He says she left around midnight. Earlier that day, the pair had attended the UP State Fair in Escanaba. One local resident reported seeing her vehicle in the roadside lot on August 15th between 4 and 6 p.m., though she may have possibly left it there after work in order to carpool with her husband to the fair. Good night, Austin. Sweet dreams, honey. Statement made by Alger County Sheriff Todd Brock said, "The only thing we know for sure is the car was there sometime between 4 and 6 p.m. on Friday the 15th. It was seen by a resident who reported it to police. Then we don't arrive on scene until Sunday, and then the car was located down there. How it got there, I don't know. That's what we know for sure. That's why I'm asking if anyone has seen anything. Please reach out to the sheriff's office or the Michigan State Police. Elgin County Sheriff's Office says it's unclear whether Starla had an intended destination when she left home. It is unclear how she may be traveling or other circumstances surrounding her disappearance. So let me pause this here. This is another number that was given back then for another number, but is the number for the Elgin County Sheriff's Office. I've put it in chat. Starla Goings is 65 years old. She's 5'4" and 160 pounds. She has bright white hair and brown eyes. She's carrying either a black Lululemon bag or a mini black backpack. If you have information about Starla's case, please contact the Elgin County Sheriff's Office at 1-906-387-7030. Authorities are asking anyone in the area to check their outdoor cameras to see if they caught Starla's vehicle or anything suspicious on August 15th. Multiple search efforts have been conducted with the help of Michigan State Police and Marquette County Sheriff's Office, but no further clues as to her whereabouts have been found. Anyone with information about Starla's whereabouts is asked to contact Elgin County Sheriff's Office at 906-387-7030. The MSP Nogany Regional Communications Center at 866-411-0018, or the MSP Nogany Post at 906-475-9922. If you've seen anything, even if it seems insignificant, contact the authorities. Starla's family is desperate to find her. They miss her, and they want to know that she's okay. Above is the information that you need if you have any clues. Cutsy out. Okay, so that was, I'm not out. I'm still right here. But that was someone else who, shortly after she went missing, her husband was seen by people in town, throwing away her things at the side of the road, going to the dump, throwing her things away, digging in the yard, just odd behavior. He was driving other people's vehicles, will not speak to the daughter. And this is a biological daughter that they share together. Isn't speaking to, I believe he's got a daughter with someone else. He wasn't speaking to them. There is a Facebook page about her. And there's also a Munising Missing page that has quite a few articles about her. But again, he never reported her missing. Nothing. And he's now sold the house. He no longer lives there. He never gave any of her stuff to her children. Never even called them when she's saying, hey, your mom's gone. Nothing. Not even a support to his daughter who was missing her mother. Same as, Brian Hooker knew Kaylee from the time she was 3. That's a father. That's more than a stepfather. And this is just so sad. And again, like I said, it's very similar. We heard Lynette's mother say that she was worried about her things. That's something that Starla said to her children when they told her, you need to leave. And she said, but I'm worried about my things. And, probably worried that because he obviously got rid of all of her stuff that, if she left because she was in danger, her kids' baby pictures, maybe things from her mother or father or grandparents that were special to her. That's the fear that they put in you, that every single thing, they don't respect one thing that you have or that you are. And it's sad how that's the mentality. That's what people who are abused like that's brains do. They start making up all these reasons because it's so scary or because they feel stuck or they can't financially leave. And same thing with both women. Everybody that knew them. Starla worked at a bank that everyone knew her in town. And they talked about how sweet and kind she was and that she would do anything for anybody. And same with Lynette. That everyone that Lynette worked with at AT&T just thought she was awesome. She was sweet. She was kind. She was loving. And these men just destroyed them. And it's really, really sad. It's sad that, again, both of them were really, really close. Starla was saving up money to leave him. Lynette had a plane ticket 3 weeks before this to go. And for whatever reason, neither of them got out in time. And it just is so sad. So very sad. So, on that note, I am almost at my 2-hour mark. I was on for, 2.5 hours earlier. I'm whooped. So, I am going to go get a snack. I think I'm going to have another Snickers ice cream bar. Either that or, no, I think I'm going to do the mint chocolate chip Oreo cookie sandwich tonight. Because those were yummy. But just a little reminder, Lynette Hooker's been missing for 67 days. Anyone with any information can contact the Coast Guard Investigative Services or the CGIS Tips app. It's an app that you can get on Apple or Android in either the Apple's Play Store or the Android Play Store. It offers both anonymous tips and real-time chat. Or you can also give regular and anonymous tips to not need to see Alex Murdaugh and his snotty self again. You can send anonymous or non-anonymous tips to CGIS tips, all caps, at uscg.mil for anything concerning Lynette Hooker. Like I said, that can be both anonymous, non-anonymous, or the CGIS tips app. And again, Starla Goings has been missing for 300 days. And if you have any tips about her disappearance or any information, you can contact the Alger County Sheriff at 1-906-387-7030. Yeah, that's the CGIS. It's called the CGIS Tips app. And you can either give anonymous tips or you can chat in real time with someone to give your things. Thank you, Truth. Yes, please hit the thumbs up if you haven't yet. Hit the subscribe if you haven't yet, and that notification bell, because we're going to be keeping up on all this stuff, all these cases. And, we've got, oh my gosh, there's so much with the Murdaugh trial. And I'm still looking out for Letitia Stokes stuff. And now Adam Montgomery and the drama that is the Nancy Guthrie case now. So thank you everybody for coming back and hanging, and anyone new that came in, thank you. We appreciate it. Thanks, Truth. And that's just it. If I'm not reporting on something, if I'm not repeating something or reviewing it, I'm not going to just keep going over and over the same stuff. There's plenty of channels that do that. So we've got a lot of stuff that we're keeping in, little side eyes on, just seeing what's going on, a bunch of stuff on the back burner. So, and we're going to have some fun stuff to do coming up this summer, now that we've got some time I've got a little bit freer schedule. So, thank you, Truth. Hey, you're a big help too. You are a big help. So, and yeah, I will always, whatever I say, it will always be backed up. I don't just, if somebody sends me something, I drive Truth nuts, but I will look over it 4 times over. And once I make sure for myself that it's true, no matter how much I trust somebody, then I talk about it. So, yeah, we definitely have been talking about some fun stuff. So, let's see. So, I know I'm just kidding with you. I'm just teasing. But, yeah, so everybody have an awesome night. I am not sure if I'm going to be able to come live tomorrow night. I make no promises. If I do, it'll definitely be later on. It'll just be like a porch night. So yeah. So thank you guys. And like I said, the best way, a lot of us are getting sick and tired of this drama. the best way we can combat it is by making this kind of stuff more important than that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I'm still going to laugh and giggle at some of it. I'm still going to bring out some of the hypocrisy that I see because it just drives me absolutely crazy. And I get mad and I got a big mouth. But I promise to try to focus all of that into these missing people and these cases and calling out the BS that is Alex Murdaugh and all the stuff. So, all right, everybody, have a good night. Sweet dreams. TGIF. So, and I will talk to you later. Peace, love, and claws, y'all. Good night.